The tall heads at the end of the parade, would you be available?
What's the date? August 7th? I believe so.
Call the meeting to order the Village of Oxford Downtown Development Authority, Monday, July 18th. Please rise, pay respect to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
We started, I think he's in route. Ron Charles.
I'm en route here.
Gary Tripp.
Here.
Bill Dunn.
En route.
Ed Hunter.
Here.
Dorothy Johnston.
Here.
Rena Malay.
Here.
Steve Schultz.
Here.
Susan Scherr.
Here.
We have approval of the proposed agenda.
Move to approve.
Second. Been moved, supported, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We have the approval of the June 20th, 2016 regular meeting minutes.
There are no questions, I'll move to approve.
Support. Been moved, supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same thing. We have public comment on non-agenda items. Seeing no public. Consent agenda. The executive director's report.
As per usual, you have the executive director's report in the packet. Past month has been filled with excitement in downtown Oxford. New craze, the Pokemon Go has really gotten folks into downtown. To be determined what the long-term viability of that game is, but just wanted to mention that it has gotten more people on the streets of downtown. Concerts in the park are in full production, and we've transitioned into our new fiscal year. At the end of June, we had a public hearing regarding the East Burdick Street development proposed by Dave Weckel. The response at the Planning Commission meeting was mostly positive. There were a few concerns discussed, like there being ample parking and placement of trash containers. The Oxford Leader ran an article about the development, and it was met with positive comments on social media. Currently, we're waiting Dave's formal site plan submission, et cetera, for the Planning Commission review. So those are the next steps before that development can take off. Concerts in the park are doing very well. Despite some rain, the first couple concerts, the rain broke just in time for those concerts to happen. The rest of the weeks, the weather has been beautiful. The bands have been amazing. And for the most part, the attendance has been near about 200 for each evening. And that you can see further down in the notes. I haven't spelled out more specifically, but I've been counting each night. The next concert is Denise Davis and the Motor City Sensations. You know, they're from Detroit, doing some Motown R&B. And I'm going to be developing a survey to gauge the economic impact of the series. Survey for the public to pass out at the concerts, and then I'm going to do one for the business owners to see what the impact of those events are. And that will help us plan next year. You know, we'll figure out what genres are the most popular. We'll figure out you know, how many folks are actually spending money and spending time in the downtown. We have a final draft of the promotional video that OCTV has done. I tried to email that to you folks today, but it's a format that isn't easily emailable. So I want to get that to a few of you, and maybe I'd meet with a few of you, you know, promotions committee or something, just to watch it. I think it's really good, but I just want a couple more eyes on it before we put it out there to the public. So, you know, per usual, again, you know, broken down into the 4 points: design, or organization, economic restructuring, design, promotions. I won't go into great detail, but you guys are welcome to ask any questions you may have.
Rod?
So you said you're going to do a survey with existing attendees, business owners. How about asking people that don't go why they don't go?
Sure.
It strikes me as I see 185, 170. That's nice, but what's the township residency base? I mean, I know the township's more than DDA, but it's what, 20,000?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So
What do you feel capacity would be in that area?
Couple hundred.
Couple hundred, probably.
Yeah, it looks pretty packed when I've been
Yeah.
there.
I mean, it's been pretty packed. It's felt pretty packed. Yeah, you make a good point. Why are people not going? You know, we can put a poll out there on our Facebook page and maybe gauge, you know, have you attended? If not, why not? And I think there may be a multitude of reasons, but yeah, it's a good question.
Okay. Anybody else? Treasurer's report?
If there's no questions, I'll move to approve the bills in the total of $18,384.49.
I'll support that.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Roll call?
Lassard.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Hunwick.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Malaya.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
And the budget spreadsheet is for your,
I just spent some time on this over about a week or so ago. I met with Joe, but I went over all the numbers individually, and I put together a snapshot. I mean, this is pretty much the same report that Joe puts out for us, Joe Young. I just wanted to put it in perspective so you can see. Based on this report, there was a minor snafu that came up by the time I did this, and we came here tonight. From the official numbers, we have a couple of $100, well, $400 and some odd discrepancy because of Joe Young had to reallocate Joe Frost's, part of Joe Frost's June salary, 3 days of it, plus FICA and whatever other relative funds are related to 3 days of his compensation, and put it into this report, which I didn't have. So aside from that, the only amounts that were off is this report rounds up or rounds down based on where the cents come in. So I was off like $8 for my report than what Joe had, $8 and some cents, but I attribute that to the rounding. Anyways, if you see in the report, essentially we realized $32,661 in additional revenue over our original estimated budget. If you look on the expenses toward the bottom, it details by the different departments, organization, design, economic restructuring, and promotions, what our budget was and what we actually spent. And we spent less, $35,300 and some odd dollars less money than what we were budgeted to spend. So it came out to about 90% of what we budgeted with what we spent.
good.
So if the second page basically just recaps everything and shows that we have a $90,000 surplus from this previous, or the June 30th ending of the fiscal year with our previous fund balance. We have $252,410 right now in cash sitting in the bank.
Very good. Sue?
Joe, don't we haven't paid for Dorothy's grant yet, right?
Not yet, but
So-
what we did in June was restrict those funds so that when her grant is ready to go, it will not affect the current budgeted amount of the facade grants.
So that'll come out of this 9,000 on that spreadsheet.
I don't have his spreadsheet in front of me, but it's been restricted, so it'll come out of a different line than what the facade grants is normally.
Okay.
Joe?
If I might, in your packet, behind the bank statement is the fund, is the balance sheet. And the bottom line, last line that says committed fund balance, $112,367.50. $110,000 is for M24, and the $23,6750 is for the facade grant for Dorothy's windows.
Okay.
So it's reserved out of fund balance from last year. So our fund balance available is $49,506. Well, it's more than that, I'm sorry, plus the 90, so
That'd be
So it's
39.
it's accrued for last year, but it will be carrying it forward in this year's budget as we spend. So
Okay.
we'll be amending the budget for that amount, carrying it over.
Okay, thank you.
There are no other,
I do.
Rod's got.
So Joe, this is, what bank is the money kept at?
Oxford Bank,
Savings and checking or something like that?
it's a checking account, to my knowledge.
We had discussions about a couple of years, the possibility of the roads being torn up. Think about it today on the way here, it took me almost an hour to get from the Palace of Auburn Hills, so we talked about setting money aside. Should some of that 200, or that money that's available be set aside now?
We did that at the last meeting.
we did
I wasn't here
We
at
did.
the
100,000.
tail end of the meeting, but I understand
But
we
I mean,
did
it's
that.
allocated, should we
Yes.
put it in some place you might make a couple bucks? I realize rates are down, no one knows better than me, but should we put it
Oh, I
in
see what
something
you're
like,
saying.
make a few
We can-
bucks interest?
Joe?
Yeah, we can put it in the, we have to use the local county government investment pool for our long-term investments. We can transfer money into that.
Okay.
The 100,000.
I mean, it's, rates keep going down, they went down again last week, but there again, a couple $100 here and there.
They're gonna go up pretty soon.
Propose a motion.
Get a beer,
to transfer
great.
100,000. It's up to you.
If there are no other questions, I don't believe we,
I have another question, though.
okay?
So this pool, Joe, how liquid is the money, or is it like a certificate of
5
deposit?
days.
5 days? So it's pretty liquid then, so why not do that, make a few bucks on it?
Right.
Sure, if that's the board's pleasure.
Yep.
How much should we put in there?
I thought that decision was made last meeting.
Right.
I wasn't here for that part of it.
It was just
I
to
thought
set it
was
aside.
100,000.
100,000 that we set aside.
Actually, it was 110,000.
Yep.
10,000 for grants and 100,000 for possible road. It's in the minutes. It was 100 for the facade grant, $10,000, and for the M24 business promotions,
100,000.
100,000 for the grant match for the reconstruction project.
Right, and 10,000 for promotion.
Yep.
Or advertising, whatever,
So 110,000 total.
right.
I'd say put it all in there.
And, hypothetically, if rates do go up, and it's a large if, you can take it out in 5 days, then hypothetically, you could take it out, then put it back in at a new rate. So you're not really giving up anything. Liquidity or whatever else.
It's a pool.
I guess they don't.
What's that?
It's a pool fund.
It's a pool.
I understand, I'm just saying it's,
Do you need
pool
a,
fund rates change very slowly, so it won't really have that much of an impact.
do you need a motion, Joe, to do that?
If you want one, your option.
Probably should.
I like the motion that we set the money aside for the Oakland County Pooled Income Fund, or whatever it's called, Joe?
The 110,000.
$110,000.
All right.
Or,
It's been moved. Support. Any discussion? Roll call.
Charles.
Yes.
Kremen. Yes. Dunn.
Yes.
Hunwick. Johnston.
Yes.
Alea.
I don't think I
Yes.
said anything.
I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry.
I was going to ask a quick question. Will this be set aside as a separate account stating road reserve or?
It'll be a separate account.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Malaya.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
And Basari.
yes. Joe, can you monthly, when they start sending a statement, can you include the
Include that in the
statement
packet,
in
of
our,
course.
yeah, packet? Thanks.
Okay.
Are we through asking questions? I don't want to interrupt.
We are. Go ahead.
I don't think we receive and file the executive's report, so I'm going to make a motion to receive and file the executive director's report, the DDA budget spreadsheet, and the code enforcement activity report.
Or,
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You included the code enforcement, didn't you? Yep. New business, 2016, 2017 budget.
I asked Joe to put that in there, and this was totally my doing here. Joe has not made a comment to me one way or the other. This is strictly me, based on, my experience as in the private sector. and talking to other DDAs. I tried to get some more information, but my issue is that originally when we hired Joe, I was not in favor of hiring a director, not specifically Joe, because I didn't want to hire a director. Then the board voted to hire a director, and we brought Joe in. I think Joe has done a great job, and we've got a lot of concerns and work ahead of us over the next couple of years. And from my perspective, and again, this is strictly me, Joe has never said a word to me, he's not said one word. I think he's underpaid.
I would agree.
I've checked with other DDAs in the area. The Lake Orion DDA director has resigned. I'm assuming she moved on for better things. I don't know. I couldn't get any information from Lake Orion about what they were compensating her. Not that they wouldn't divulge, I just couldn't find the right person to talk to since she wasn't there. But, I mean, I talked to Auburn Hills, their director. They just initiated their DDA and their capture. So their budget is virtually nothing for the DDA, but she does do other responsibilities right now until the DDA, but she's at 47.2. I talked to Holly. His budget's $100,000 a year, and he's getting paid 43 of that 100,000.
What's your proposal, Ed?
I would, personally, from what I see Joe do and what I see what the budget is, I would like to push him up near 48, but I'm sure that's a huge increase. That's a 20% increase, and I'm not sure how many of the board members would be in favor of that. But I really think he needs to be pushed up to 45. But that's my opinion, and that's why I brought it up. I just think he's undercompensated. You know, I realize he's in a career path that doesn't demand high compensation. He's got a master's degree, but you know, again, coming from the private sector, I know what people with master's degrees who are you know, if their employers endear them and if they're doing a great job, you know, a master's degree in just about any area pays a lot more than $40,000 a year.
Double.
Unless you're a reporter or an editor.
Well, again, it depends on your career path, and I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying.
I mean, it's what it is.
It is what it is, and I know that Joe Frost took a career path that doesn't demand a tremendous amount of salary, but the way, and again, this is just me. Joe has never brought this up to me. I'm looking at this as he's doing a great job, at least based on the feedback I'm hearing from everybody on this board. He's doing a great job. I think he's doing a great job. I think that there's a lot of need for this board to do things for the business community between now and the time that they tear up 24. And I think you're going to need somebody in charge who's going to facilitate and coordinate a lot of activities and whatever work or projects that we need to put in place to help ease the pain of our business community when this happens. I would hate to think that something might come up where he might decide that he needs to pursue other options for his own personal needs, and I would understand that. But you know, did you get the house in the village?
We're working on it. We had our inspection this morning.
Okay, so it's going forward.
It is.
I'm very encouraged by the fact that he's moving into the village, and I would think that would help ease, you know, my concerns or any for the future. But I just feel he's undercompensated.
Jerry?
Just out of curiosity, so there is some structure to it. I fully agree. I mean, he's a supreme talent, you know, having a master's, and you know, he brings a lot to the team for sure. But with his contract, is it written to his contract that he's got a yearly evaluation on his
exactly.
salary? So has that gone forward, and has the increase been given yet, or no?
There has been an increase.
Yes.
Okay.
The yearly evaluation comes in January per the contract,
Okay.
and we had that evaluation in January. So the next, unless, again, the board wants to do another one, because the board's always at liberty to do that. The next one would be January.
Okay, I just want to make sure that at least the first
When
one's
did they
taken
do
care
an
of.
evaluation?
I sat down with him.
We did.
At the meeting.
One of the things
The org meeting, we did that one.
we talked about is having specific achievement targets set up, as opposed to just saying, oh, we want to be a nice guy. I think Bill Dunn had mentioned that concept about having specificity for achievements. And I think that's the path we should take. If we said, we want to give them a pay raise, fine, but let's have some targets that are established and then achieved,
I agree.
instead of just the warm fuzzies.
I mean, one last, oh, sorry, Bill's probably ahead of me.
Go ahead, Bill.
I may agree that he does need a raise, but I think we need to do it systematically, because people out there are gonna go, here we go again. They've got
Yeah,
a little
I agree.
They got a little extra money, now they wanna frickin' spend it and piss it away. Excuse me, pee it away. But I think we should, if we could have another evaluation and give some goal setting. We could do it next month. But I think we should do it step by step, rather than at all of a sudden at a meeting give somebody an $8,000 raise, or even a $5,000 raise. That's all I got.
Mr. Chairman, one of the factors that come into play here is the new overtime law that comes into effect. That anything under 47,000 is required to pay overtime. So that's another aspect of this you'll need to consider how you want to handle that. Do you pay him overtime, or do you adjust his salary, or?
Is that even for salaried employees?
That is.
Well, Joe, the answer to that question, though, is you would then need to have documentation on hours spent, not just, I was at the office and what I was
My
doing.
deputy overtime.
So that comes with a price.
But it's just we're gonna have to comply with the law, so we need to consider that.
Well, what I just said, in case you missed it, is that we need to have an hour sheet that says what's going on every half hour or something like that.
You know,
I got a question to that, to that end, and not to argue that point, but is this not a salary position
yes.
based on 40 hours per week?
That's correct.
All right? So if we're going to base a salary on 40 hours, I'm just going back to what Joe says because I'm in tune with this. So having said that, then there's only two ways to look at that. His salary is based on 40 hours. So 40 hours spent doing what? A time sheet, a time clock is not for salaried employees. So
Why not?
not.
It doesn't make sense in my
It
mind
doesn't make
either.
sense. It's not a salaried employee. Then it's an hourly position. You're punching a clock.
But you just said that you're basing it on an hourly
You're basing it
pay,
on
so-
40 hours for his position being the meeting time spent, so on and so forth. You could do some type of a log to show, but you can't require the employee to basically punch a clock and then turn in his time cards to the council to see if he fits the bill. Basically, what this law says here up front is, here's the salary cap range or the salary minimum range for salaried employees. Anything over, anything under, this is where it applies. So I think Ed is, if you didn't take any of this in account, or if you did, you're right on the money here. You got to make that salary range or close to it.
No, you don't.
Oh, you can stay under, but then you're going to, I don't know, I guess,
When did you say this goes into effect?
I think it's,
Quickly.
yes, August 1st?
Really soon.
Yeah, I think it's the next couple weeks.
So that
Yeah.
means that the township has to pay Pete overtime for,
No.
Only if you're under 47,000.
They're under
Right,
47,000.
if your salary, stated salary is
Oh,
under
under.
47,000.
Oh, under.
I thought it was over.
No.
So did I.
Under.
Well, this doesn't make sense.
Thank you.
No, not over, under.
So it's under. Got it.
So it is a sticky situation, because what would happen is, what's your current salary? I'm sorry, and I hate.
It's 40. So
40?
Oh, actually, no, it went up. There was a 2.5% cost of living increase, so it's 41 and some change.
41, so we're $6,000 short, which your typical week, and I'm just asking, Joe, this is just probably kind of tough on you right now. I mean, I hate to hear your thing, but it is public. So your typical week right now is
How many hours you think you're spending?
It's at least 40, and then with the concerts in the park, planning
Right.
commission meetings, these meetings, it goes beyond that. But I try to use some of that as flex time, so, for instance, this morning I had some personal things to take care of that, kind of compensate the overage in time for this evening's meeting.
Right.
And to Rod's point, I do document the hours. I don't go specifically to the half hour because that sounds like more work in and of itself. But I do document when I come in and when I leave and the activities for the
I think
day.
a starting teacher's in the 30,000 range, and that's a salary position too, by the way. So the premise of that discussion might be a little bit erroneous.
Jerry?
Just as far as even setting aside the whole legal ramifications, I do think, Joe is definitely worth that money, but for me, it's piggybacking on Bill and Rod, I definitely think for sure, but there should be a meeting, at least sit down, work on goals, work on timeframes, and a certain accountability aspect. Because, it happened to us before. We had a DDA director that was gone within 9 months. So I'd hate to, even though legally, yes, we have to do that, but I'd like some sort of accountability and some sort of targets to hit. And
Well, I think what they're referencing is the director previous to the one you're talking about was where the issue became a big deal publicly.
But being in a relationship with someone for 9 months and then leaving the position is difficult because there's continuous change and you're really never moving forward. And as Ed said, it's also very important because possibly in the next 5 years we're going to be entering a very difficult time for the village and the businesses in the village and the residents and whatnot. So I think having an attachment and stability is strong, but nor am I ignorant that he's going to be here for 5 years in the same position. Because that doesn't, you'd also have questions about people that stay in those positions for 5 years because it doesn't show growth, or especially at the man's young age and given where his salary is. So I just think there should definitely be a sit down and talk about targets and goals and realistic timeframes, because I would like to at least set up a contingency plan, because if he's with us for the next 3 years, at least something's written in where he has the next person, that there's money set aside on some budget line, that he trains someone in the systems that he's set in place, and so that person can hit the ground running when he leaves. I know you can't really necessarily tie someone to a contract, but at least
Succession.
sort out expectations. So.
Rod?
Is it, just a thought, is combined DDA with Lake Orion?
That's probably not going to happen because they just hired a director of their own.
There you go,
Oh, they
Ed.
did?
They did. Yep.
I don't agree with that.
Molly, who was a DDA director at Ortonville.
Would it be advisable then to refer this to the org committee? They're the same ones that did the review back in January, and do a review for the entire board, and then bring it with a recommendation at the August meeting?
Sure. I could do
I
that.
think that's good.
I'll make that recommendation.
I'll support. It's been moved and supported. You clear on that, Joe?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Heritage Conference?
Another piece to that too is the practical, please three-hole punch the current budget and put it in your board of directors manual. That way that is there. So I know that Ed had his points he wanted to make, but that's important so that it's a resource for the board. We're to the point in the year that Oakland County hosts their annual Heritage Conference. This conference is a continuation of the theme last year and focuses on the heritage corridor of the Saginaw Trail. Saginaw Trail is the historic road from Detroit to Saginaw. This conference takes place on September 23rd and includes a bus tour of the Dixie Highway portion of the trail from Pontiac to Holly Township. The keynote speaker is Ed McMahon, I believe is the way it's pronounced, who will be presenting gateway communities and secrets to economic successes. As a community whose roots are so tied to the M24 corridor, I feel that the information and knowledge presented at this conference could be beneficial to not only my knowledge as a staff person, but also the community as a whole. So registration is $35, and my recommendation and request is permission to attend the annual Heritage Conference. And in addition to that request, I would encourage our board and any committee members and volunteers to attend as well.
It's my motion.
Bill,
Go ahead, Bill.
It's my motion.
it's been moved
Support.
and supported. Roll call?
Herman.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Hardwick.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Malay.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Yes.
Sargent.
Yes.
Charles.
No.
Motion carries. Village of Oxford Master Plan?
It is customary that every 5 years municipalities update their master plans. Last year, the Village of Oxford Planning Commission organized a subcommittee for the purposes of updating the plan for the village. Chris Corey, planner with McKenna and Associates, assisted the community with this task. I sat on the committee, as did a couple of others. So a good portion of the redevelopment plans pertain to properties within the downtown development district or adjacent to the district. The implementation of these portions of the plan will have a positive impact on the DDA district and the community at large. Currently, these plans are in draft form, and they're available for public comment and review. So there are some hard copies here in this room, but I also emailed digitally this afternoon to each of you those documents. So my recommendation is to review the master plan documents and make comments as necessary. We could even structure those comments on the DDA letterhead and provide those to the Planning Commission and the village planner if you'd like. That way it's more of a formal comment from this entity to the Planning Commission. But again, due to the size of those documents, I had to share those digitally. I contemplated printing those, but some of those are 30 pages, and 30 times 9 is a lot of paper when you're talking 3-4 pages or 3-4 documents. So at this time, there's no suggested actions motion-wise, except that I encourage the board to review these documents and provide comments to me so that we can make a formal comment to the Planning Commission. Some of the comments that have already been received by the Planning Commission are in the following pages, and those have been done via open houses or public sessions, if you will, prior to Planning Commission meetings. And you can see some of the documents here. But again, it's important that the DDA weigh in on some of these things because they are plans that will be taking place within the district.
Okay, Bill?
I'll give you a comment. I don't like Denison being one way. I live right there at the corner of Denison, and that's a real cluster. It's awful the way it is, and I think it would be even worse with one way. People don't even know where they're going now. You got people coming in and out and going out the inn, and
There's a parking lot adjacent to, just a little
Yeah,
west of there, and
As I can recall, the intention of the committee when we looked at that was that the way Denison is currently programmed, MDOT is less likely to provide a traffic signal there. But if it was one way, it would provide an additional lane of traffic in that division. My point is to get a traffic signal there, it's got to have a turn lane. Is that correct, Joe, from my
Yes.
understanding?
Couldn't
And-
turn left on Denison unless it was one way or you added another lane somehow.
So if it's more likely to get that traffic signal at that intersection if it's a one-way going either direction, as long as it's one way.
so the residents on
Currently programmed.
Denison have to suffer because of this?
That's just a recommendation of the committee, and
So other people's problems are now going to be our problems?
if we want a traffic light at that
I
intersection,
don't want a traffic light at that intersection.
then that's part of your comments as
That's
well.
what I'm
Yeah.
commenting. That may fall on deaf ears, but at least I'll be able to give my comment.
So From my understanding, there's a proposal or discussion of having Dennison be a one-way street. And the reason is so that there can be another traffic light put downtown.
That's
Is that
correct.
correct? And what are the options for traffic lights? That's the only one is Dennison right there? Pretty much?
Correct.
Having traffic lights 300 yards apart is kind of silly.
The other issue was pedestrian crossing safety.
That's probably the bigger
Yeah, that's probably,
issue, because if you want to go across the street, you have to walk up a pull block back, so.
Jerry?
Has this been, is the whole 5-year, the major construction on 24, has this been combined with that and evaluated, and this actually makes sense? I mean, do we know what the streets are gonna look like when?
part of the plans for the master plan is one of these is a traffic plan, future transportation plan, which accounts for some of that M24 business, but it doesn't get as detailed as what the M24 process will. And the last contact I had with MDOT last week was that they're doing the survey work now, and that we can anticipate meetings with stakeholders in the design process.
Engineers.
And engineers, and things will be fleshed out in greater detail. And so even an idea like a one-way there, or traffic light there, or elsewhere, you know, the engineers might squash based on their knowledge,
Yeah.
or their analysis. Right now, they're doing traffic counts, they're doing surveys, they're really taking a look at everything. And so we can anticipate some of the first stakeholder meetings in late fall, according to MDOT. So some of this, it kind of plays together. It references the MDOT M24 rebuild, but not in great detail.
The actual M24 rebuild portion of it hasn't had a really firm sit-down meeting to say, yes, this is 100% what we want. So that all has to take place, or that discussion has to take place.
Yeah, so basically this is just all in fancy as far as what they want.
Wish list, if
in the
anything, per
current
se.
state of the roads, okay.
Correct. Bill, anybody? Or, excuse me, Ed?
Yeah, I was going through this, and one of the things that kind of, unless I'm not remembering exactly where everybody is on Glassby, but the traffic on Glassby, about reducing the amount of truck traffic on Glassby to put, I mean, the recommendations were that the Glassby is for just local truck traffic only. Isn't that where all the gravel haulers are on Glassby anyway? I mean, isn't that just gonna stay the same?
It's a good question, because technically it's an industrial area, if that's what you want to call it. And if you want to have the industrial area stay in the village, it kind of defeats the purpose if you're basically telling the trucks to go away. I mean, that's the question I have with the whole thing. It doesn't make sense to me when you're trying to, on one hand, it's a key component of the village to have the industrial area there for the money and everything that they bring in, but through this traffic study and what they've been talking about, you're almost trying to discourage truck traffic to that area. So it's a catch-22 situation, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I only see the trucks that belong on Glassby using Glassby. I mean, I'm not on Glassby 24/7, but that's all I see are the trucks that need to use Glassby because that's their point of origin, or that's where they're, you know, leaving from or going to. That's who's using it. I just think that's not gonna make any difference.
Joe?
The proposed road is south of Marketplace, and that's part of the plan from the township as well, that there would be a connector road, and that would be for the traffic going eastbound. So instead of having to turn at Burdick and all that congestion, that the trucks would use the connector at Minnetonka, basically. going to Glassby.
But that
And
would-
if they wanted to go north and then go south, they would take Glassby and go out Lakeville instead of going downtown.
But you're basically funneling more traffic onto Glassview is what you're trying to do at that point then.
Yes. Opposed to the
Yeah, but not to
downtown
go
intersection.
north, to go south.
To go north to Lakeville Road. If you're going over at that point where they're trying to, by Minnetonka, if you're talking about making a connector there, to
Right.
get to Lakeville Road, you have to go north. You turn left, you have to go north to Lakeville Road.
Or rather than go south, you'd go to Drainer, then go north.
Right.
That's kind of what I understood that they were doing. Guess we'll have to clear that up. I didn't think we were sending them down Glassby.
People on Glassby would be happy with that.
No.
Or
Joe?
like TKMS is south of Marketplace. So when they're coming southbound,
Correct.
instead of turning a Burdick, they turn them into Minnetonka.
How are they gonna get to the Ray Road plant?
You can't do that until you rebuild the road. It's not a Class A road north of Burdick Street.
Why can't they come out that connector and go north?
They can.
So that's what I thought they were gonna do.
Right.
So it just bypasses, it's a bypass for basically them.
If there are no other questions, I'll move to receive and file.
Support. Been moved, support. All in favor?
Aye.
The 2015, 2016 annual report.
Annual reports are typically demonstrations of the health of an organization, provides an overview of organizational activities and finances. In addition to this document, a form-based report is required to be sent to the state of Michigan. Staff will submit the appropriate form in the coming weeks. There's no financials on this other than what's in there. But again, just review, maintain for your board member files. If you have any comments or additions or corrections you'd like to see, that is welcome too. So in its current form, it's technically a draft until you folks either receive or file it, or if we want to add to it. So very simply, I base this off of a few reports done by other DDAs and Main Street organizations, and they really spread a wide variety of how they're designed and what information they convey. So very briefly and about us, this is something that I envision would live on our website as our annual report. Our current fiscal position based on Mr. Hunwick's numbers, what our current programs are, what our promotions have been, a list of the various press releases that we have released, a list of our awards, and just a brief thank you to our constituents. So with that, I'll entertain any questions or comments, corrections, whatever you may have.
Is that only on About Us, or can it be final physical position?
Over the whole document.
Oh, I got a question.
Quid.
On fiscal position, the last paragraph, wouldn't it be correct to say that we have $100,000 for the matching funds and $10,000 for business promotions?
Yes.
The way it's saying
Sounds
here,
better.
Separate it out.
separate that out. It's the only comment I have.
Okay. Joe?
Just a comment on, I'm wondering if maybe we should consider next time adding what we've accomplished for historic preservation. That's part of our mission statement. It might be good to show. Here's what we've done in promotions, development, and identify what we've done for historic
Sure, and we could
preservation.
break out, and that still can be done. This is by no means a final document, unless we want it to be. But we could put the facade grant programs under historic preservation. We can carve out the inventory of historic buildings. And, yeah,
The way it ties to our mission statement.
just kind of beef it up a little bit, sure.
Okay. The motion to receive and file then?
Move.
Would you like the finished draft next month, since we have some corrections here?
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The MSOC tech visit for visioning?
So this has been in the works for a little bit. At our June meeting, we determined that we would utilize our Main Street Oakland County Tech Visit for an in-depth visioning session. Main Street Oakland County will bring in a consultant. They are recommending and picking Jeff Sigler, I may be pronouncing that wrong, to assist in conducting this session. Jeff is the Director of Revitalization at Heritage Ohio. They like to bring in consultants that can have an unbiased kind of view of what the community is doing. So tentatively, talking to them, this is kind of what we're looking at. Like to do a session, possibly 2 sessions with the general public on Thursday, September 7th. One in the mid-afternoon, and I'd like to get some feedback from specifically our business owners. We discussed just doing an evening thing, but for, restaurateurs, which that's a large majority or a large segment of our businesses, the evening is dinner time. So, Jerry, I'm kind of looking at you, as a restaurateur yourself, does mid-afternoon, would that work for most folks in your line of work, or something earlier in the morning? What time is the best time?
Double-edged sword. Usually a lot of us don't go to bed till 4 a.m. and then
Sure.
we're open late. So for me, honestly, it's an important important sessions. So I think the evening may be better. I'm just a little concerned about September 7th, just because it's kids are back to school, just brand new. It could be an issue for grasping a big attendance. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
sure. Push it back a week, or what are your thoughts?
I'd probably, if you could push it back a week, that would probably be good. At least it lets people get into their routines. So,
Push it back or move it forward?
or move it forward, sorry. So Thursday, September 14th, if that's a possibility or something, I don't know.
September, isn't that Labor Day?
Labor Day's the 5th.
Yeah, but that's a Labor Day weekend, though.
That's also another reason, it's a holiday
Labor
weekend.
Day, yeah, that's true.
Is the 5th, so,
The 14th,
or the,
you push it back.
Yeah.
A week from the 7th would be the 14th.
yeah, so.
That's a Wednesday.
Are you doing it Wednesday or Thursday?
And just, obviously,
We were looking at Wednesday,
if
and
you're looking for business owners input too, obviously,
Thursday.
earlier in the week is
What
better.
it?
Well, it was originally
September 7th,
Thursday the
or
8th.
Wednesday.
This was originally written as Thursday the 8th, but there was a conflict with Main Street Oakland County,
Okay.
so it's the 7th, which is accurate.
Which is a
Which is a
Wednesday?
Wednesday.
All right.
So that is an error based on the original discussion. So you're thinking just one session in the evening? I want to get your feedback.
No,
on
I
this.
think, listen, I think 2 sessions is good. It lets, as I said, people have a voice and stuff. So I think 2 sessions is fine. But as I said, once you move it away from the 7th and move it a week forward, I think is a good idea. And then obviously the next meeting a week forward from that.
Gotcha.
Go ahead, Rod.
My concern would be, how would you let people know other than a website or Facebook? Because, I know from the different things I've been involved with the last 30 years, it's always surprising how many people don't know what goes on.
We're going to get to that a little bit further down the document here. Main Street Oakland County is proposing door hangers that will go on to each door, at least in the village. Obviously, not feasible to do it on every door in the township because we're talking about 20,000 households.
So you talk about in the DDA district?
In the DDA district and beyond the DDA district. Because I would really like to see what some of our residents who are walking distance of the DDA district think and what their vision are as well.
Why not do it, if I throw this out, at the concerts in the park as well?
We could do that as well.
How much time do you need to prepare this? Because then we have the August 60th event too.
Main Street Oakland County is going to be using the Oakland County marketing folks who are going to be putting all that together. So I doubt it will be ready in the next week or 2.
Also too, sorry.
Go ahead.
If to add a little more attractiveness to it, you could get beverages donated by someone, and I could talk to my boss and see if we could get some a little bit of a spread put out and, advertise catered by, just to add a little bit more of a, get people in. People always like a deal, so. Just an idea.
Yeah,
Doesn't even have to be us. It could be give the opportunity to any other business owner
Sure.
first, and then if nobody's coming through, then we'll do it.
Put some wine.
Go ahead, Ed.
You're talking, doing this on the 14th, right?
Yes.
I don't know if this makes sense or if it's a bad idea or a good idea, but I know you did this on
That's
Kiwanis,
Township board meeting night.
yeah, that probably would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Ideally, we'd like some of those folks to participate.
Actually, that entire week, because if you do it on
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays, the village council,
Village Council.
township board meets on Wednesday, and then usually planning commission.
Planning Commission Thursday.
Which is why I was looking at that first week, but with Labor Day weekend.
Unless you move it back or move it ahead another week to the week of the 19th.
Top Fact Wednesdays.
There you go.
There's also, the next weekend next week would be September 21st.
21st?
Yeah, it'd be following our board meeting. The original intention in having the public session previous to the board meeting is that at our board session, which would be just this group, that some of the feedback from the general public would be presented to you. So ideally, we'd like to have the public sessions before the board sessions. Not that our input is more or less important, but we want to hear what, again, our constituents are saying out there. So by pushing back, I guess is my point, by pushing back the public thing to the 21st, my recommendation would be to push, the board visioning back to after, whenever that is, after the public session.
Do that in October then. That's fine.
I didn't finish what I was about to say.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry, Ed.
sorry.
It's okay. As I said, I don't know if this is a good idea or a bad idea, but when Joe and I were on Kiwanis, we utilized the children at the school. They bring home information packets every Friday with their knapsacks for their parents to read. What's going on in school, what's going maybe on in the community that might involve the school or so forth. I don't know if it makes sense to incorporate this particular project with if the school district would allow that to happen or not. I guess you could ask, but the kids could bring that information home to their parents via that vehicle.
I think that's a great idea.
Yes.
Update, the school no longer sends printed materials, it's all by email. We can ask them to send.
No, we could do an email blast then.
Attachment.
Okay.
Is that something, Joe, that could even be
Yep,
put
there is.
onto the utility bills from the
List.
village?
Yeah.
The sewer and water bills?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll look, I'll keep you folks in the loop, obviously, as we get these dates nailed down, but I'll talk to Main Street about pushing this back, having the board session sometime in October. Another key component is where do we want to hold these? My initial idea was to possibly coordinate with the library. They have great meeting spaces there. There's not a good place necessarily other than this room and the community room to get a large number of people gathered. So I kind of like having it at the library, but again, this, whatever you folks think. This is the organizational
I get
visioning,
about
not the
40.
Joe Frost visioning, so
You have to pay for it?
most likely probably not.
We've used the library for our homeowner association meetings, and they don't charge us. We just have to reserve the room.
We'll talk to, once we have the dates nailed down, we can talk to Brian and get those secured.
Sure, he will. Okay.
So another piece to this is, some of the promotional activities as we've talked about. Main Street, Oakland County will do all the design work for the promotional materials we want, but there is a cost to printing some of that. So, to really get the word out, I'd really like to do the door hangers, because we can get some volunteers together. Just the volunteers going out and putting these things on door hangers is a form of promotion. We can put it on our social media. But my recommendation is that we approve an amount. I've not got any quotes on how much it costs to print door hangers. I got this information late last week. There wasn't enough time to get a quote in time for the board meeting. But I would suspect that printing door hangers wouldn't cost any more than $500. And so, my recommendation is that we set an amount aside, not to exceed. Maybe that's $500, maybe that's a different amount based on the conversation we have this evening, specifically to print promotional materials that will be designed by Main Street, Oakland County, to assist in getting the word out.
Seems kind of rich, $500 for door hangers.
And again, I've not got any, this is just a guesstimate on my part.
Well,
Bill?
why can't we let our director make up his own mind whether it's on the cost? And if it's a bad figure, we'll let him know. We're not there, he's paid to
Try
run.
Vistaprint, Joe.
But I mean, I'm sure he'll try a couple of places, and just, if it's $510 or $520 or $420, I would just let the executive director use best judgment.
Makes sense.
Why we pay him.
Any other discussion?
I have nothing further.
Board member comments?
Guess for me, actually, Oxford is being promoted over the course of the next month pretty highly. Our 2-year anniversary is going to be this Friday. 97.1 the ticket. We're going to be advertising on the radio, and their street crew is coming out. Dennis is coming out doing Dennis glass engraving. It's going to have a big party. So the reason I bring it up is because 97.1 the ticket will be mentioning the village of Oxford. So I thought it'd be good for you guys to know. Also, we got selected to be on the Budweiser website for the best burgers or Bud Burgers. Basically, they're going to rate the best burger in America. So I encourage everyone to vote so we can further the exposure of Oxford and us. That's
pretty
So last thing is, by our next meeting, I will be the proud father of another child.
Awesome.
All right.
Congratulations.
She's due anytime the next week, so it's fun.
You gonna
So
give her
I'm
time
gonna
off?
basically gonna have a baby Bjorn on me the next time we're at a meeting.
You're gonna give her the time off?
Yeah, no, she's gonna take time off. Thinking about some male maternity leave too, for a week. But that's all I have. But yeah, good meeting.
Good. Susan?
I don't have a comment.
Bill?
I have 2 comments. Rod, I'm open on the Saturday of the festival. You got me all day.
Thank you, Bill.
And back to this possible raise, I have nothing against Joe. I think he deserves more, but I'm trying to be a conscience of, if we went from 40,000 to 48,000, we're going to hear, here we go again, because that's a 20% raise in a matter of only a couple of months. So we have to, if he deserves it, we have to justify it and do it properly. Nothing against Joe.
Sue?
I have nothing.
Rod? Nope. Ed?
I would just comment that my feelings of him getting a raise to about 48,000 was my personal comment. I realize the board would probably not approve that, but I think anywhere closer to a 10% raise would be justified. But the 20%, again, is just my personal feeling.
Understand. Dorothy?
Thanks, Joe, for your continuing hard work and your diligence.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
The
The reports say it all. Every time I open this up, Joe, I see something else that amazes me, and you've done good work on this. So once again, Ed, I'm with you on 10%. I think that's palatable, and once again, gets you closer to the the new salary structure that's forthcoming. But thank you for the good work.
Thanks.
You got it?
All set?
I'll move to adjourn.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned. 7 o'clock.